Number 5, an equilateral triangle has sides of length 8 centimeters. The height of the triangle, find the height of the triangle to the nearest millimeter. So the first thing is we need to sketch. Now we know that the height of this triangle, remember it's an equilateral triangle, which means that this side is equal to that side, which is equal to this side. And we know that the height divides the base at right angles. So not the height divides the base at right angles. What I mean by that is if you drop perpendicular distance from the vertex or from this point, this angle will be 90 degrees. So, and it divides the base equally. So remember, the sides of this triangle, each of the sides is 8 centimeters. So that's 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters. So that will be 4 centimeters and 4 centimeters as well. They want us to find the height of the triangle. So let x be the height of the triangle. Let's say let that be x. And if we can focus on this part of the triangle here, we can use Pythagorean relationship to find the height of this triangle. So basically, we'll go ahead and say, remember x is the shorter side here. So when you're finding the shorter side, you subtract. So we'll have x squared is equals to 8 squared minus 4 squared. Which will give us 48. So x will be the square root of 48, which will be 6.9 centimeters. And that will give us to the nearest millimeter, that will be 69 millimeters. Number 6, an isosceles triangle has equal sides, meaning measuring 10 centimeters. So an isosceles triangle has equal sides measuring 10 centimeters and a base which is 12 centimeters long. Find the length of the altitude of the triangle from the apex. So the altitude here means the height. Okay. So what you're going to do is to sketch, just like the previous question. Try to make it better than that. Okay. So an isosceles triangle is a triangle whereby you have two sides being equal. So each of these is 10 centimeters. So that will be 10 centimeters and 10 centimeters. Now the height of this triangle, if I just drop the height from the apex, so this is what we call the apex. This is what we call the apex. So if you drop the height from the apex, it will divide the base at right angles. So note that the height divides the base at right angles. And so if the base is 12 centimeters long, That means that each of these will be 6 centimeters. And suppose x is the height of this triangle. So suppose x is the height of this triangle. We can focus on one part of this triangle and just use the Pythagorean relationship to try and figure out what the missing side is. And the missing side in this case is the height of this triangle. Well, the height is the shorter side of this triangle that's highlighted here. So when you're finding the shorter side, we subtract. So x squared will be equal to 10 squared minus 6 squared, which is 100 minus 36, 64. So x will be the square root of 64, which is 8. So x is 8 centimeters. Number 7, a square has diagonals of length 10 centimeters. Find the length of a side to the nearest millimeter. So first step, we need to sketch this square. So the length of diagonals is 10. So each diagonal is 10. So that's 10 centimeters. Of course, each of these interior angles is 90 degrees. Let x be the length of each side. So let x be the length of each side, which means let that be x, let that be x, let that be x, let that be x. Remember, this is a square. Each side is all sides are equal. So what I'm going to do here is to try and just focus on one part of the square. So this part here. And we'll try to use Pythagorean relationship to try and find the value of x. So if you apply Pythagorean relationship, we'll end up with x squared plus x squared is equals to 10 squared. So 2x squared will be equal to 100. And then what we'll do here is we can divide by 2 on each side. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2, which will end up with x squared is equals to 50, and x will be the square root of 50, which will give us 7.1 centimeters, and that is equivalent to 71 millimeters. So 71 millimeters. Number 8, the longer side of a rectangle is 3 times the length of the shorter side. Each diagonal of the rectangle is 22 centimeters long. Find the dimensions of the rectangle. So the first thing that we need to do is to try and represent this information in a diagram. So I'll just sketch a simple rectangle here. So and try and highlight just important things. So longer side is 3 times the length of the shorter side. So let x be the length of the shorter side. If we let x be the length of the shorter side, so let that be x. The longer side will be 3 times x, which will be 3x. Now we are informed here that each diagonal of the rectangle is 22 centimeters long. So each of this diagonal is 22 centimeters. I'll just write 22. It's a rectangle, which means each of the interior angles is 90 degrees. Now, if we can just focus on this rectangle here, we can be able to calculate the value of x by applying Pythagorean relationship. So what I mean by that is x squared plus 3x squared will be equal to 22 squared. So x squared plus 9x squared will be equal to 484. So 10x squared will be 484. Then we can go ahead and divide each of this side by 10, because the opposite of multiplying by 10 is dividing by 10. So x squared will be 48.4. And x will be the square root of 48.4, which is 6.96 centimeters. So they want us to find the dimensions of the rectangle. So you can go ahead and say that shorter side will be x, which is 6.96 centimeters, and then the longer side will be 3 multiplied by x, which is 3 multiplied by 6.96, which will give us 20.88 centimeters.